Drawing the sword. 5 months after Operation Blue Star, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was stepping into her garden, at 1 Safdarjung Road, New Delhi, when she was shot by one of her Sikh bodyguards, Beant Singh. As she fell, another Sikh guard, Satwant Singh, pumped bullets from his Thompson automatic carbine into her body. The entire right side of her body was opened up by more than 20 bullets. Beant Singh and Satwant Singh apparently did not try to escape, but simply raised their hands in the air. They were taken to a nearby guardhouse, where after some 20 minutes, officers of the Indo-Tibetan Border Police opened fire, killing Beant Singh instantly and wounding Satwant Singh. The Prime Minister was taken to the All India Institute of Medical Sciences amid much confusion and delay, but to no avail. Several hours later her death was announced on All India Radio. Eventually Satwant Singh, along with an alleged co-conspirator, Kher Singh, was hanged for the crime, but its repercussions are with us still. Sikhs both in India and overseas, had been talking openly about punishing Indira Gandhi for her role in Operation Blue Star for some time, and there were rumors of Pakistani and even CIA involvement in such plans, though no one has been able to substantiate them. The Thakur Commission, appointed to investigate the assassination, implicated Mrs. Gandhi's own special assistant, R.K. Dhawan. The government came up with a list of possible conspirators in an entirely separate assassination plot, including Simranjit Singh Mann, a former police officer and Akali Dal leader, Atinder Pal Singh, a leader of the All India Sikh Students' Federation, and 2 others. The charge of conspiracy to wage war against the government, and conspiracy to murder Indira Gandhi against those 4 men was however, withdrawn after Mrs. Gandhi's Congress party was defeated, in the parliamentary elections of 1989. In those elections, in fact, several militants, or people with known sympathies or connections to militants, were elected to parliament from various districts in Punjab. Although in custody at the time, Simranjit Singh Mann was elected from Tarn Taran, and Atinder Pal Singh was elected from Patiala. These were not their home constituencies, and their elections here represent the work of activists, who were able to elicit votes simply on grounds of political solidarity. The widow of Beant Singh, the known assassin of Indira Gandhi, was elected as well, and so was his father. The fact of these individuals' success in contesting the election, shows the extreme alienation of a large part of the Sikh community, in the years following the Gandhi assassination. The support expressed here for 2 family members of Beant Singh, amounts to outright applauding his action, in delivering justice to Mrs. Gandhi. It would be as if, Lee Harvey Oswald's wife and father, were elected to Congress after the assassination of Kennedy, an unimaginable scenario in the U.S. context. Beant Singh's family were of Dalit, formerly untouchable origin, so there was an added impact to the support they received from the Sikh community. Though it is true that sweets were distributed in celebration of the assassination in some locations, including in remote Assam, where an entirely different conflict was simmering, it was only in retrospect, that many Sikhs came to feel that perhaps the killing had been justified. For in the days following the murder, Sikhs were brutally massacred in cities across North India, apparently with the complicity of police, as well as key figures in the Congress party. The jolt of Operation Blue Star was thus followed by a second shock to the sensibilities of Sikhs 5 months later, and it was this shock that prompted many to the position of solidarity with the militants, that would later be expressed electorally. One woman told me, "When I heard Indira Gandhi had been shot I was horrified. Of course I thought that Operation Blue Star had been a terrible thing, a wrong thing, but I still didn't think the right solution was to just kill the Prime Minister. I thought it would bring a bad name on the Sikhs. That isn't the way people are supposed to behave in a democracy. My family was a well-placed one, and we had many connections in the government. As the riots started breaking out in Delhi after Mrs. Gandhi was killed, somebody sent a car for me and my kids, so that we should get to a safe place. We were hiding down in the back seat as the driver, a Hindu, took us through the streets. You would never believe that scene that was before my eyes. I couldn't comprehend that it was India, the same neighborhoods, the same places I had been through 1,000 times. People were on fire, literally on fire. One man's turban had gotten kerosene poured on it, and he became a human torch. I saw another man leap off a roof, and flames kind of followed his body in a big arc, like a shooting star. And the thing that I will never forget, was the way those Sikh bodies on fire were shaking, trembling as they burned. That driver in my car turned to his companion and said, "See, they are dancing Bhangra, a Punjabi folk dance." I just couldn't comprehend this comment. I felt such an anguish to hear this. Later it became clear that it wasn't just this driver, it was everybody. No one cared about the Sikhs. We had been deluding ourselves all this time, that we were instrumental in the nation, that people respected us. My father was a highly placed individual in the personal entourage of Mrs. Gandhi, and he was asked to turn in his gun after the assassination, just because he was a Sikh. He had served with loyalty for so many years, and this was a devastating blow to him. I still don't say it was right for Beant Singh and Satwant Singh to kill Indira Gandhi. But after I saw that the whole country was after the Sikhs, the police, the Congress, the media, I decided I had no more patience with India. That was it. The first reports that the world heard about the so-called riots that took place in Delhi and other cities, was that they were the spontaneous reaction of grief-stricken Hindus, with corresponding retaliation from Sikhs. Rajiv Gandhi, for example, seemed to excuse this rioting with his much-publicized comment that, when a great tree falls, the earth shakes. But independent commissions set up to investigate the approximately 6,000 deaths, largely Sikh, resulting from the post-assassination carnage, paint a rather different picture. It has now become clear that the anti-Sikh mobs shouting blood for blood, and Hindus are brothers, a distortion of the traditional Hindus and Sikhs are brothers slogan, were not spontaneous but contrived with the full assistance of police officers and Congress party officials. They brought in hired gangs to initiate the slaughter, and to spark more by spreading rumors that Sikhs had poisoned the water supply of Delhi, and that trains full of dead Hindus were arriving from Punjab, harking back to similar episodes during the trauma of partition. Sikh homes and businesses were carefully earmarked for destruction, while neighboring structures survived intact. Sikhs were beaten to death, necklaced with tires soaked in kerosene and set afire, dismembered, and raped. The People's Union for Civil Liberties, a human rights group headed by the respected political scientist Rajni Kothari, and the People's Union for Democratic Rights, another highly regarded human rights organization, produced a joint report on the anti-Sikh violence called, "Who Are the Guilty?" It concludes that the attacks on the members of the Sikh community in Delhi, far from being spontaneous expressions of madness, and of popular grief and anger at Mrs. Gandhi's assassination, were the outcome of a well-organized plan, marked by acts of both deliberate commission and omission by important politicians of the Congress, and by authorities in the administration. Justice Ajit Singh Bains, forthrightly called the riots pogroms. The Citizens Commission, headed by former Chief Justice S.M. Sikri, and counting a former governor, a former foreign secretary, a former Commonwealth Secretary, and a former Union Home Secretary among its members, concluded that the anti-Sikh violence was a massive, deliberate, planned onslaught on the life, property, and honor of a comparatively small, but easily identifiable minority community. A third report, put out by Citizens for Democracy, echoed these findings, noting also that the reasoning behind the violence was to arouse Hindu passions in order to consolidate votes in the coming election. As the actual role of Congress party workers and police and other officials in the 1984 slaughter of the Sikhs is becoming clearer, the status of Indian democracy is increasingly called into question by outside observers as well. Paul Brass, writing in the prestigious New Cambridge History of India series, bluntly points to the institutionalized riot systems in which mob violence is spurred and manipulated by political leaders. He also comments darkly that, it is past time to note that Indian politics and society, display many of the symptoms of a murderous pre-fascist stage, which has already produced a multiplicity of localized Kristallnachts in numerous urban sites. Though some will find the analogy with Nazi Germany here too extreme, both the explicit targeting of Amrit-Hari Sikhs as traitors following Operation Blue Star, and the clear earmarking of Sikh residences and businesses in the post-assassination carnage, speak to an incipient genocidal campaign. Though most Indians would condemn both, if phrased in these terms, restraints on media coverage meant that much of the nation received the explanations of Sikh treachery, and Hindu-Sikh communal rioting, without much protest. The urban elite human rights communities spoke out, but India as a whole remained silent. For Sikhs, this silence was deafening. The woman who was driven through the burning streets of Delhi, told me that she was instructed to take her children out of school and get them to a safe place, well before the rioting began. She suspected that a plan to create communal violence in the capital had been in place for some time, possibly scheduled for the upcoming birthday of Guru Nanak, which got pushed up to take advantage of the conditions created by the assassination. I have no way to assess what this woman told me, but note that 3 of her close family members were in high positions in the government. Her remarks are consistent with the findings of the independent commission cited here. Khushwant Singh, journalist, Member of Parliament, and firm critic of Sikh separatism writes. In most instances, mobs were led by members of Mrs. Gandhi's Congress party, including some members of Parliament. Policemen on duty turned away their faces and took their share of the booty. Sikh houses and shops were marked for destruction, in much the same ways as those of the Jews in Tsarist Russia or Nazi Germany. There were no signs of grief over the death of their prime minister, among the police, but plenty of envy, hate and malicious pleasure at seeing Sikhs, being cut to size. I awaited my turn. I felt like a partridge in a partridge chute, waiting to be flushed out of cover and shot on the wing. For the first time I understood what words like pogrom, Holocaust, and genocide really meant. I was no longer a member of an overprivileged community, but of one which was the object of dire hate. All day long my telephone rang. They are burning our Gurdwara, can't you do anything? They have looted our shops, can't you do anything? There are scores of Sikh corpses lying along the rail track, can't you do anything? In my turn I rang up everyone I knew from the Commissioner of Police, the Lieutenant Governor, the Home Minister, right up to Rashtrapati Bhavan. The only help I received was in the form of advice, get out of your place and hide with your Hindu friends. At least you will be able to save your life. Khushwant Singh did save his life, by hiding out in the Swedish embassy. But so many other Sikhs, lacking Khushwant Singh's connections, had no embassies to flee to, and no cars to bring them there. Estimates of people rendered homeless by the post-assassination violence, rose as high as 50,000, and camps to house these refugees were still in operation a year later. The government's offer, often 1,000 rupees, about $1,000, for surviving next of kin of riot victims, seemed to many to be more of an insult than a serious attempt at compensation. Harji Malik, a journalist with the Hindustan Times, visited one of the areas worst hit by the carnage, Trilokpuri Block 32, 11 months afterward, and described the continuing aura of devastation poignantly. This infamous block where the massacre of men and boys had been most savage, had not been touched for almost a year. No family had returned and it was easy to see why. Burned out houses, charred door frames, piles of rubble, heaps of half-burned clothes, a child's rubber sandal, charred paper obviously used to light fires, heaps of ashes inside ruined rooms, remained mute witnesses to man's brutality. From the walls of many stricken homes, painted plagues of Guru Nanak looked down on the evidence of human madness. The narrow street, both sides lined with gutted shells of homes, exuded its own horrors, its desolation a stark contrast to the overcrowded streets, bustling with life, on either side. In Block 32 the silence speaks, for pain and agony have been permanently recorded here. Rajiv Gandhi, Indira's son, became the next prime minister in a landslide election. The Congress Party's campaign played shamelessly and dangerously on anti-Sikh sentiment among the majority Hindu community. One election poster pasted on walls all over India showed Mrs. Gandhi superimposed on a map of India, with a gaping and bloody hole in her abdomen. Another showed her crumpled body in the garden, with two sinister-looking Sikhs hovering in the background. One asked bluntly, "Should you be afraid of your cab driver? A professional niche Sikhs dominate." Khushwant Singh, though a Congress loyalist, wholeheartedly disapproved of this tactic. He advised that the susceptibilities of the Sikhs had been deeply hurt, and that restoring the dignity and self-respect of this community had to be a major project of the government. He told the Home Minister, "You are up against a community which feels unwanted, isolated, unhappy and sullen. You have to get round these people and get them on your side, and free them of this atmosphere of hatred and bitterness that has been created." He also noted, "You might not have been told, that a large number of young Sikhs today wear saffron turbans, no longer blue or white. They are wearing saffron because they have taken an oath of vengeance. What that means, I shudder to think." Those young Sikhs who had donned saffron turbans to the consternation of Khushwant Singh, were not only deeply hurt by the actions of the Indian government, but they were at the same time greatly empowered by the actions of Beant Singh and Satwant Singh. In a sense, the anti-Sikh slaughter after the assassination was seen as justifying after the fact what the assassins had done. After all, they pulled it off. The fact that two Sikhs could murder the leader of the largest democracy in the world, gave encouragement to every Sikh who thought that he or she had now to do something to avenge Operation Blue Star, avenge the anti-Sikh pogroms, and establish a state in which Sikhs would not be a susceptible minority, but a majority whose rights could not be trampled. Amrit Srinivasan of Delhi University appropriately recognizes the sense in which the anti-Sikh riots were seen as an echo of Operation Blue Star itself. Both were seen as violations of home, one in the religious, the other in the domestic sense. This sense of geographic invasion contributed to a notion of Khalistan as a physical sanctuary, as a place where Indian soldiers, police, and mobs could not reach. The interesting thing about the extremism of Bhindranwala and others, was that it was supported by a wide range of people in significant government and, particularly, police and military posts. At one point Chief Minister of Punjab, Darbara Singh, constructed a list of 22 senior government officials, affiliated in some way with the extremists, and between 1981 and 1984, Indian intelligence agents drew up a list of some 4,000 police personnel with links to the nascent militancy. As many as 170 Army, Navy, and Air Force officers above the rank of colonel supported the Sikh cause. The most famous of these was General Subhag Singh, who had fortified the Golden Temple complex, and died fighting against the Indian Army during Operation Blue Star. Encounters between Sikh militants and police, and paramilitary forces in Punjab, occurred with regularity after November 1984, and a variety of guerrilla bands operated clandestinely in the cities, villages, and fields of the state. After a period of shock following Operation Blue Star, people seemed to be galvanized into action. Although Rajiv Gandhi reached an agreement with Akali Dal President Harchand Singh Longowal in July 1985, the Rajiv Longowal Accord, the mood among a significant section of the population had turned ugly. Longowal was shot by militants while speaking in a Gurudwara in August, for allegedly having betrayed the Sikh cause, by compromising with the son of Indira Gandhi. In April 1986, the independent state of Khalistan was declared, a formal military organization was established with a Panthik committee at its helm, and the movement coalesced into a definable force. As a condition of zulm, or oppression, descended upon Punjab, resistive zeal sprang up in every nook and cranny of the state.